Welcome to the Nightmares Podcast, where we talk about all things horror, sometimes. I am Zack. Welcome.
Okay, welcome to the Nightmares Podcast. This
Woo!
is the last time Zack will be introducing us.
Squirrels.
Ever.
This is Brandon.
Here's the thing, they're going to forget next week, and, the whole cycle's going to repeat itself. They'll probably giggle like schoolgirls like they usually do, and, time will go on, and so will the rest of the damn world. Squirrels.
I'm Mark, everybody.
You are?
I am. That is in fact true.
And of course, to my left in timeout is Zack.
Yeah, he'll be out of timeout in pretty soon. Soon enough.
This is the Nightmares. This is the Nightmares Podcast. 3 Chicago filmmakers talking about everything horror and film production related.
Yes,
We are also directionally challenged.
Yes, we are. Anyway.
So before our main topic of the day, I actually watched the pilot episodes to 2 new horror series.
Nice.
Did you now?
Yes.
Cool.
The first one is DC's Swamp Thing.
Can you really consider that horror, though?
Yeah, this show is totally a horror show. It's actually really cool. So it's basically there's this viral outbreak happening in this Louisiana town that's on the swamps. Like, people are dying, like, really horrible plant-related deaths. Like, plants are, like, growing out of people, and they look pretty gruesome. And so there's this CDC investigator who used to live in the town. She goes to investigate, and then she teams up with this other doctor who's also investigating the viral outbreak. And of course, there's like town corruption and everything. And yeah, it's basically like a horror version of the Dustin Hoffman movie Outbreak.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And the whole first episode is before Swamp Thing even comes in the picture. Like, for those of you that don't know, Dr. Alec Holland in the comics, the typical science-y explosion becomes Swamp Thing. That's pretty much the end of the episode. So the bulk, it's like 90-95% of the pilot episode is pre-Swamp Thing. So we already have this supernatural virus going around. And frankly, I thought that was a strong enough plot line without Swamp Thing in the picture yet. So now that we actually have Swamp Thing coming in, I'm even more excited. Swamp Thing's actually a man in suit, not CG.
Thank God.
And
Practical.
The little bit of the suit that you see in the show looks really good. And even the CG effects that they blend in with the practical also looks pretty good. Like, you can tell it's CG, but for a streaming service original TV series, it's really good CG.
Nice.
Yeah,
Very cool.
And they're totally staying true to the horror roots of the character. Like, it is a horror show. And they actually got Lynn Wiseman to direct the pilot episode. He's probably most famous for the Underworld movies.
Okay.
And James Wan is an executive producer on it. He's probably most famous for the original Saw, the Conjuring movies. He also directed Aquaman, so I guess that's how he got his in with DC.
It's amazing how far he's come.
Yep, and one of the head writers / showrunners is Gary Doberman, who, Zach, you would probably know him best for the It remake.
Yes.
So there is some talent on this show, and it's a really promising pilot. I can't wait to see where the rest of it goes.
Yeah, it's definitely a good sign. I'm glad they're actually getting to some really good stuff on television. Mm-hmm. I think it's it was getting a tiny bit stale. We're only relying on Stranger Things and a couple other shows here and there. So it's nice. It's nice that they're getting that done. And then obviously too, another thing in horror movie news that I know that I talked to both of you around the week, but I wanted a chance to talk to you now about it is Tony Todd saying that he is probably going to come back and be involved in Candyman.
He's going to be involved, but we still don't know if he's actually playing,
Candyman. But it sounds like Jordan.
The fact that he's involved speaks volumes.
True.
Because look at how many remakes we've had post 2003. How many remakes and reboots we've had that have not had involvement from anybody from the originals.
That's fair.
It's also Jordan Peele, though, too.
We're not going to talk about that.
But you see my point.
Oh, I see it. And
Yeah, so, I mean, Jordan Peele's taking over the helm,
Zack
so it makes sense.
Zack did his, take a shot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
when the fuck did you guys make a drinking game out of my
Just
egg?
now.
Just now.
I'm going to stab you in the throat. Where's that
Oh,
drinking game?
that's 2 shots
Take a
right
shot.
there. Yeah, take a shot. That is right there.
The Zachary Smith drinking game.
Ooh, and then also, he's not wrong. That's definitely a shot.
What?
The phrase, he's not wrong, or you're not wrong.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
You're not wrong.
Yep.
Where the hell's my knife?
Oh, there's another one.
Fucking stab you.
There's another one.
Oh!
Oh. Put the comic down.
No. You can't make me.
Zach, put the comic down. That's not nice, and you know it.
I will eat this comic.
No. I
Zach
don't
said something weird. Take a shot.
Sir. All right, let's
Let's get back on topic.
You know what? Just start taking shots until you're dead. That'll make everybody happy.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's that one game.
We'll start losing audience members one by one until we're back down to 0 subscribers due to mortality rates. We're a real horror podcast now, ladies and gentlemen.
We're taking everybody out.
Don't worry, we'll join you in the afterlife.
All right, so hey, that settles that with all of the news that's going on. Let's get to the genre of the day.
Well, I have one more pilot to talk about.
Oh.
It is actually going to bleed into our main topic.
Nice, shoot, go for it.
So last night, AMC premiered a new series, and I watched the episode today, and it is... I don't know what the proper pronunciation of it is, but it's essentially Nosferatu.
Nice.
Spelled N-O-S-4-A-2, because it's a license plate in the series.
Nice.
So it's, Nosferatu.
I like it.
Based on a book by Joe Hill, aka Stephen King's son. It's a book that I've actually seen in every airport bookstore.
Because that's you get your quality. Oh, do you know what though? You know what's something funny? I bought Ready Player One, the book, in an airport bookstore, and I bought it on a whim, and I loved it. It's one of my favorite books.
All right.
Great movie.
But yeah, it's a book that I've seen around
Better movie.
for years. Never knew exactly what it was, but then I heard it had something to do with vampires. Nosferatu. I don't know how I didn't catch that.
Yeah, I don't know about that one,
But
buddy.
then again, when you're just reading it and you're just seeing NOS 4A2, and not knowing what it was about, it just didn't click until I found.
License plate title. Fuck this.
Yeah, pretty much. But anyway, so it starts with it takes place around Christmas time, and it starts with this little kid. I think they say he's like 10 years old, and his mother gets murdered, and he gets kidnapped by this vampire driving a car with the title license plate. The vampire played by Zachary Quinto.
Nice.
Which all he does in the pilot episode is drive and talk to the kid, and he also does something with his assistant that I won't spoil here. But yeah, even though he doesn't do a lot, he's mostly speaking in this episode, he's a pretty creepy character.
Okay.
Pretty creepy. And who he is at the beginning of the episode isn't necessarily who he is at the end of the episode.
Okay.
And then there's another character who is kind of, I guess, like she's like the kid's babysitter, and she's going by the house and she sees like the crime scene and everything. But she's kind of a sidekick in a way, in that she has this velvet bag of Scrabble tiles. And it's like she asks a question, and the letters that she pulls out of it will give her the answer of what she's looking for. So she asks, "Where is the kid?" And the Scrabble tiles spell out like a hint for her.
Interesting.
Yep. But the episode doesn't really spend a lot of time with those two storylines. The main part, like the main chunk of the runtime of the pilot episode, is following this girl who is going through her last year of high school. Her name is Vic, and she's the child of pretty much a bad marriage, essentially. And one day she finds this bridge, and while she's riding her motorcycle, and pretty much it's like one of those like what do you call it? Those enclosed bridges.
Yeah.
Like if you've seen Beetlejuice, you know what I'm talking about.
Wow. Stop it. Get out of my head, brain. Damn it.
But yeah, so it's like if something's lost, if she's thinking about that lost item, when she drives through that bridge, she ends up where that lost item is. Like there's a scene where her parents are fighting about the fact that her dad lost his watch. She's thinking about the watch, she drives to the bridge, and she ends up at the restaurant that he left it at. But yeah, the main chunk of the episode just follows her, and it's like she's not in the plot yet at all. Like she's totally the main character, but the episode is pretty much just her life. And I mean, it is based on a book by the son of Stephen King, and I mean, I think Mick Garris once perfectly described why Stephen King is such a great writer, and that Stephen King's books aren't about the monster in the closet.
They're never.
They're about the family that's living in the house that has the monster in the closet. And this episode is very much reminiscent of that description.
Well, yeah, and that's the funny thing. That's why Stephen King was not a fan of The Shining at all.
Yeah,
like he felt a lot of things got missed with the dad's alcoholism and the breaking up of the family. You know, a lot more of that stuff wasn't covered in it. But I mean, you could feel that in like it. You know, it's not about the monster. It's about the people's lives. You know, and what the monster represents in those people's lives, which is actually he's very good at what he does. I mean, my Nana is the biggest Stephen King fan, and you know, and trust me, she wouldn't have stuck with him, and read almost all of his books if it was just you know, a monster of the week type of deal. Like it's about, you know, it's a lot about families, Yeah. The God only knows what his family was like growing up. Holy shit.
Who knows? But yeah, Nosferatu, like both Swamp Thing and Nosferatu are definite slow burns.
Okay.
Swamp Thing is definitely a lot more plot heavy in its first episode, whereas Nosferatu is very much about just the main character, and the main plot's kind of just in the background, just to let you know. These characters are definitely gonna converge at some point. So I'm really interested to see where it goes. I have no idea how faithful it is to the book. I've never read the book. The only thing of Joe Hill's I've ever read is his comic book series Lock and Key, which is arguably one of the greatest comic book series of all time. Arguably the greatest horror comic of all time. It's definitely up there. And I think that's actually getting adapted by Netflix into a series finally this year.
Nice,
so I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, Swamp Thing and Nosferatu, both very good first episodes. Hopefully the rest of both seasons don't disappoint.
Nice.
Keyword hope.
Yep, there have been shows before that have had excellent pilots and then fall apart just a few episodes later. Under the Dome, also based on a Stephen King book.
Well, Stephen King's had his fair share of duds, man.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Maximum Overdrive.
Lawnmower Man.
Does Lawnmower Man even count, though?
The Lollygaggers.
You mean the Langoliers?
Or the Langoliers, or whatever the fuck
it might as well be called the Lollygaggers.
It might as well have been called that. It's another weird one.
Which actually, that's a story that I heard that the miniseries just didn't do justice to. Like, I heard the short story is actually legitimately pretty creepy.
Okay. Yeah.
The Mangler.
Yeah.
What the hell is the show called? Rose Red?
Yeah. The Haunted House one?
Yeah.
Let's
see, what else?
That trailer, though, for, was it Ultimate Overdrive?
Maximum Overdrive?
Maximum Overdrive, that was it.
Oh my god. That's the one he directed, correct?
Yeah.
That is
holy shit.
by far the best trailer I've ever seen for a movie in my life.
Hey, kids, you want to... This is your brain. This is what your brain looks like on cocaine.
Don't do cocaine.
You know, that should have been the commercial they showed to all those kids back in the day. It's just like, what the fuck?
Just say no drug. Like, I almost wanted to see like a mashup between that trailer and the Nancy Reagan PSA. Don't do drugs, kids. Just say no. like I don't
Stephen
know.
King may be successful, but holy crap, is he insane?
Dude, I didn't know what to tell Steve. I'm like, you need to do no cocaine or more cocaine. Like, you're like halfway in between. Like,
Somebody called Jack, asked for his suggestion.
dude, like, I don't even know what to do with that dude and everything else. Do you want the greatest movie experience ever? I'm like, sure, Steve.
With a giant green goblin face plastered right behind him.
And Emilio Estevez.
Yeah.
Because
And the voice of Lisa Simpson.
for
Sure.
fuck it. Man,
No, Yardley Smith. She's in Maximum
oh
Overdrive.
my god, that's amazing.
Just another reason to watch the trailer.
Was it also?
Did the movie ever even come out?
Yeah.
Oh wow, we need to see it.
It's on Blu-ray now.
Do you own it?
No, it
right,
costs
why
like
the
$20.
All right.
Then why the
Brandon.
fuck aren't you buying it?
Brennan, you have to put that the trailer in the link below. Like it
I feel like we've done this before.
I know, but we have.
We're
to
gonna
do it
keep
again.
putting
We're gonna
that
keep
one.
putting it again. Like,
We're gonna be
it's-
the free advertisement for that movie. That movie's gonna make a resurgence one day, and it's gonna be because of us. Whenever we finally become famous.
It's been released on Blu-ray. I'm pretty sure it's had its resurgence.
No, it's gonna be an even bigger resurgence because there's so many people who don't know about this movie, and they need to know, or at least the trailer.
Yeah, at least the trailer. They got another trailer.
Are you saying we need to start the Church of the Maximum Overdrive trailer?
Yes.
Yes.
If we're gonna start a religion, it's gonna be based off that.
Please no.
If Peter can do it on Fonzie, we can do it on that.
See, there you go. Everybody,
God,
please get your cocaine ready.
Oh man. Oh, it's so bad. It's super great. It's amazing. Anyway, so that leads perfectly into, actually no, it doesn't lead perfect. That's an
That makes
awful
no
transition.
goddamn
We
sense.
transitioned out of the thing.
And now we have to-
transitions perfectly to our main topic.
Again,
Yeah.
this is the Nightmares Podcast, ladies and gentlemen, where we try to stay on topic, but never do.
Organization's a nightmare.
Yeah.
Oh!
Son of a
I
bitch.
see what you did there.
That's still my favorite joke from Raiders and everything else. Who knows, Mr. Jones? Even you may be worth something. Son of a bitch.
Mark, what's our main topic?
Oh, vampires. That's
Real fucking vampires.
it. Not the ones that sparkle.
No, not the sparkly gay disco balls.
Yes. Anyway, that's the soundtrack of it.
Also, not Batman either.
Unless we're talking about the Batman Vampire trilogy. That was a comic book.
That was an I think they animated that at some
I
point
don't
too.
believe they did.
No, somebody did an animation of it.
We're gonna put a pin in that one for later. So we're gonna talk about our favorite vampire horror movies. So I'm sure there's a couple of things. Brandon, you wanna take a crack at it first?
All right, and I'm sure I've got the longest list out of us.
Shit.
That's the reason why I said you should go first.
I guess I'll start with my favorite vampire movie. You know what? This plays right into everything else we've been talking about.
I can't wait.
The 1979 TV movie directed by Tobe Hooper, based on a Stephen King novel, Salem's Lot.
You know they're remaking that supposedly.
Yeah, I know, with the Gary Doberman, again, the screenwriter of It and Swamp Thing.
Another perfect example. Don't go to Maine.
You know, when it comes to horror, Stephen King somehow is just no, not even just horror. That motherfucker is everywhere. You know, if you just throw a dart at a dartboard with a list of movies, there's a good 80% chance you're gonna hit a Stephen King movie at some point. Fucking Running Man
Yeah.
Yeah.
still blows my mind to this day.
Yeah, that was one of the Richard Bachman books.
God, that amazes me.
Dude, you know, and also too, you got to include not only his novels but all of his short stories, novellas. You know, all of them. It's crazy. God, just stay the fuck out of Maine. Just stay out of that state.
Yeah, and if it wasn't for Stephen King, would there really be?
No, that would be absolutely. Maine would be the tourist activity for Maine will be perfect. I feel so bad for the Bureau of Tourism in Maine. Stephen King has fucked you guys for the next 100 years. I feel so bad. Come to Maine. I promise we're not like in the novels where it's really nice here. And we're like, nope, not falling for that trick.
We need to write a screenplay that's basically the Jack Black Goosebumps, both Stephen King instead of R.L. Stein.
Oh my god, there were so many good jokes.
We'll call it Maine.
That was
Maine.
probably the best joke in the whole damn movie.
There's so many good things. 100,000 copies. U.S. No, worldwide. It's very impressive number. Shut up.
But anyway, so Salem's Lot, 1979 TV movie. It's about a writer that returns to his hometown, and the hometown pretty much gets vampirized.
In Maine, perhaps.
Maybe. Yes.
Just give up. We all know where it's at.
It's in Maine.
But yeah, Salem's Lot. So it's a 3-hour TV movie. The first hour and a half, like the vampires are kind of alluded to, but again, it's mostly about these characters' lives in this town. And then the second half, it all just goes completely nuts with vampires, and it's awesome. Mark, you look like you want to say something.
No, that's just that's exactly what the fuck happens. It's great.
Have you two ever seen it?
I have seen bits and pieces of it. I've not seen it all the way through.
It's probably my favorite vampire movie.
Okay.
Could it use a remake? Maybe.
Well,
because it was made for TV in 1979, so there's a lot of violence that, of course, couldn't get into it. But that also meant they had to rely a lot more on the characters. So I just, unless they do like the It treatment and divide it into 2 movies,
Which I could absolutely see them doing.
But also, I think is a much easier divide because you do have
The kids and then the adults.
You have the kids story and the adult story, whereas the Salem's Lot, the 2 halves are clearly before vampires go nuts and after vampires go nuts.
You said it was a 3-hour TV movie, right?
It was a 3-hour TV
Do you think they'd be
broadcast over 2 nights.
Do you think they'd be willing to do another 3-hour movie?
I would say that'd be the best way to do it.
I agree.
Just do 3 hours straight through.
Well, I did hear in the news recently that they are going to do it.
Yeah.
I think that just got released in like the last week or so that they are going to do a remake of it.
Yeah, no, Gary Doberman is writing it.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of stigma against 3-hour movies for some goddamn reason. I don't know why.
I think Salem's Lot would deserve it.
I agree.
Because the Division just wouldn't. Because literally, you just get half a movie.
It's pretty much. We're gonna get to the. We gotta wait another year and a half.
Yeah. That's stupid.
And also, they did change Kurt Barlow, the main vampire, for the movie. In the movie, he's like this hissing Nosferatu type vampire, whereas in the book, I hear he's a much more Dracula-esque character. I believe they gave Barlow an actual personality again in the 2004 miniseries with Rob Lowe, and they had Rutger Hauer play him. I never saw it because I heard it was terrible. But yeah, Salem's Lot, it's very much a character piece. In fact, it's one of the main inspirations for a script that I've been writing for a while, because it is just, I don't know, just you don't see horror movies often that just let you see the characters' lives, especially today. And Salem's Lot really does that well.
Nice. I dig it.
And it's creepy. The window scene is very, very creepy. It's pretty much... So, the main kid, one of his friends, basically gets taken in the woods, and then at night, his friend... the kid's dead. They actually bury him. They have a funeral for him and everything. But then he appears at the main kid's window at night, just kind of floating there, scratching out his window, not saying anything. and it's just so creepy, especially for a 1979 made-for-TV movie. I would say it's probably Tobe Hooper's best work, which I mean, he directed the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Poltergeist, Life Force,
God, yeah,
The Mangler.
a lot of good shit there.
Yeah. Yeah, I highly recommend it.
Nice. I'll check it out. I'm in. You sold me.
One of my favorite Stephen King adaptations. Just one of my favorite horror movies. It just gets better with age.
And that, that can't always be said for a lot of movies.
No.
No, it cannot.
What else I got?
You got a whole goddamn list.
I know you have a list. You always have a list.
I always have a list because I do my research before these podcasts. Or as much research as I can. The other movie I'll talk about briefly is the 1987 vampire-ish, western-ish movie Near Dark.
I've heard of this movie. I've never seen it, and nor do I know what it's about.
It is freaking awesome. So it's about this young man who just late one night he gives this young woman a ride, and she's a vampire. She bites him, and he's pretty much taken into her vampire clan. Lance Henriksen is in it. Bill Paxton is freaking mental in this movie.
All right, well, Bill Paxton's in it, so I have a reason to watch it.
I would say this is
It's
Bill Paxton.
over, man. It's over.
I would say this
Rest
is
in
Bill
peace,
Paxton's
man.
best
Rest in
performance.
Really?
Yes, I'll say
All
this
right.
is his best performance.
All right.
He is freaking crazy. He is insane. His character is one of the most bloodthirsty, violent vampires I've ever seen in a movie.
You said this was in the 80s?
87.
All right, so it's probably good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Directed by Catherine Bigelow.
Really?
Of Hurt Locker fame.
No kidding.
James Cameron's ex-wife.
I know who that is. Yeah.
Oh, that explains how Lance Henriksen and...
Bill Paxton.
Yeah, that explains that connection.
That was a very interesting year at the Oscars.
A pre-Lawnmower Man, Jenny Wright is the vampire that bites the main character.
No kidding.
Yeah, it's so insane.
That's
so
nice.
Insane. And after she bites him, he has no idea what's going on. And like I said, this is takes place out west. So it's the sun's coming up. He doesn't know that he's a vampire yet, so he just starts burning up. He's just walking the desert with his coat over him, all this black smoke coming at him. And it's he's done for. And then the van that the vampire clan is in just swoops in and takes him in. So it's there's some crazy stuff.
Shoot.
Nice. I've definitely got to check that one out.
Yeah.
That sounds interesting. And it's Bill Paxton.
Yeah, if Salem's Lot is my favorite vampire movie overall, that is a made-for-TV movie, but if we want to go with what my favorite theatrically released vampire movie is, probably Near Dark.
Nice. I got to check that out. That's definitely worth it.
Yeah.
Hey, what else you got on your list?
I'll just kind of go through these a little quickly. I won't go as in depth with them. But there's the 1979, directed by Werner Herzog remake of Nosferatu with Klaus Kinski as Dracula.
Nice.
One of the creepiest horror movies just in general. See it. Just see it. The Christopher Lee 1958 horror of Dracula, as it's known here, or out in England, it's just Dracula. Christopher Lee was only in it for maybe 5 minutes of screen time, I think.
Which is insane.
For the first one, and he had a lot more screen time in the sequels. But yeah, Horror of Dracula is a really good one. I actually saw that one in theaters right after Christopher Lee passed away. There was a theater here in Chicago that was having Christopher Lee triple feature. Dracula was the first one. Unfortunately, I got sick during it, so I had to leave because I just couldn't. I just didn't have the strength to go on. But I did see his first Dracula movie on the big screen, which was awesome. Let the Right One In, a Swedish vampire movie about a young boy who becomes friends with a vampire who looks like a young girl. And that one's great. The Hunger with David Bowie.
Why not?
What else do you need to know?
Why not?
And then Kronos, which is Guillermo del Toro's first movie.
What year was that?
'93. Yeah. Ron Perlman was also in it. So yeah, Del Toro and Perlman have been working together since the beginning.
The very beginning. What year was Hellboy?
Hellboy was 04.
Wow.
Yeah.
Seems like it was just yesterday.
Um,
Remember when Hellboy movies were good, Brandon?
Yeah, about that.
Yeah. So yeah, and then I have one other on this list, but I am very certain Mark or Zach, one of you two, is gonna bring it up. So we'll see if you guys bring it up.
Zack miss. It's yours, brother.
All right, well, Brandon, kind of went down most of the list, so that only leaves 2 for me and Mark, for the most part.
You're welcome.
Yeah, no.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. I guess I'll go with the more recent one of the bunch. 30 Days of Night.
Which is actually, I think, it didn't get as much attention as I thought it deserved. I thought it was
I thought that movie got a lot of attention, and I fucking love that movie.
I thought it was okay.
Really? Only
I thought
okay?
it was okay. Like I remember that overhead shot when the vampires first go nuts.
Yeah.
And I think that's by far the best part of the movie, and I just really don't remember much of it.
Well, dude,
I just remember it was very intense violence, like for a vampire movie. That movie was gruesome, and I loved it.
The pace of it I thought was really good, and actually the plot of it was really interesting.
Yeah.
About
It was an excellent idea.
about Alaska and and all the darkness that comes with there and everything else. I thought it was really interesting.
Which I actually
attack.
I actually bought the comic book, the graphic novel.
The graphic novel is pretty different from the actual movie.
Yeah, like I bought the omnibus that had the first 3 graphic novels in it, and I actually bought that while I was in Alaska.
Well, shit.
Well,
Did you
alrighty then.
Did you know it was actually supposed to be a movie before a graphic novel?
That I did not know.
Yeah,
No, I didn't
so
know.
the guy wrote it intentionally to be a movie, and I think I forgot who the hell he sold it to. I don't know. Whatever the director who was part of the project, he brought it to him or somebody like that. But I guess they turned it down because there was another trend of movies or something that wasn't that popular. So he turned it into a graphic novel. That blew the hell up. And then for, I don't know, about maybe somewhere between 5 to 10 years, the screenplay was just kind of sitting around doing nothing, collecting dust. And then they finally picked it back up and bam, we got the damn movie.
Nice.
It turned out to be really damn good.
And then the director, David Slade, after 30 Days of Night, got the job to direct the 3rd Twilight movie.
Okay.
I really wanted to avoid talking about that at all.
Too bad, we're already there. So
No.
let's talk about Twilight.
No. We have standards, thank you.
We do.
Fair enough. All right, hang on. So this implies you watched the movies?
I've seen the first 2.
Wow, he made it further than I did.
I've seen the first 3.
You made it
What?
further than I did.
I had you know what? I couldn't actually honestly sit there and say something sucked unless I actually watched it.
That's
I
why
was
watched the
right.
first one.
I was right,
I
but
was gonna say, all I needed was the first one. Funny story. Great buddy of mine. Date really wanted to go see the damn Twilight movie. Took her to go see it. Dumped her 10 minutes later.
wow,
Yeah.
that's pretty
True story.
cold.
Yeah, I mean, the first one, I knew it was going to be bad going in. I didn't know it was going to be that bad.
Ladies and gentlemen, this went from a horror podcast to we're gonna shit on Twilight podcast.
Because it's 2010.
And then the second one I watched because my family was having trouble with our cable company, and so when they replaced our cable box and everything, we got a week of one of the I think it was either HBO or Showtime. We got a week of
Let's go with
those-
Showtime because I believe HBO has some standards.
Yeah, we got a week of those channels for free. So I used that time to watch all the bad movies I wouldn't have otherwise touched the 100-foot pole. 3 of those movies were the Nicolas Cage movie Knowing.
Knowing, is that the one where he sees the future and
no,
the end
no.
of the world thing happens?
Yes.
Yeah, the one where he's looking at a piece of paper for 90
Yeah.
minutes.
Nothing's happening.
Transformers
Nothing's
2,
happening.
Revenge of the Fallen was among those movies.
I am under the chain ball scrotums.
And then
What?
the second Twilight movie, which, from a professional technical standpoint, the second Twilight movie is head and shoulders above the first one. It's just nothing happens in it. Nothing happened in that movie. Nothing.
I'm gonna be okay. So think about the Twilight movies and everything. And this is the thing I will say about them: we are not the audience for it.
No shit.
Not even close. The I would remember being dragged there by an ex-girlfriend, and
There's a reason why she's an ex, ladies and gentlemen.
and literally it was the first time I've ever heard anybody make a one of those stupid arguments. I don't know how to describe this argument. It's an absolute argument where I say, but well, this didn't make sense when this did. She's like, it's Twilight. I'm like, I understand that, but this didn't make sense and that didn't make sense. This kind of, that kind of worked and everything else. I enjoyed this part, but this really kind of didn't make any fucking sense. She's like, but it's Twilight. And I'm like, oh, okay.
And it was at
Fine.
that moment the relationship ended.
And all I could think of walking out of the theater was, only a Sith deals in absolutes. What did you? Yeah, and then nerd. Anyway, but yeah, I just couldn't believe the fandom of something that is just bad.
The
Like
fandom,
really bad, and also the funny thing is that they take it seriously. I mean, like it's not like going to see The Room and everything else. The fandom of The Room is it's they're fans because it's bad.
Like, I mean,
and they know it.
They do.
They got some pretty top quality directors on the Twilight series too. So it's not like it's something that, like, like I mentioned, the third one, David Slade, who did 30 Days of Night.
He went from great vampires to sparkly gay disco ball vampires.
The second one was directed by one of the screenwriters for Rogue One. But he directed American Pie, Battle Boy, The Golden Compass. And
Did anybody ever see The Golden Compass?
No,
Well,
I didn't.
I was gonna say, I don't think I've ever met a single person who watched that damn movie.
And then the last two was directed by the man who directed Candyman 2, Gods and Monsters, Dreamgirls, The New Beauty and the Beast. I believe he also wrote Chicago. Yeah, he wrote the screenplay for Chicago.
How the fuck did these movies get these people?
Good question.
Money.
Yeah.
Good answer.
Yeah, that's really all I could think of.
The large.
Just don't put my name on the movie for at least another 5 years when nobody gives a shit.
At least give me a running to start. The money. That's how they got them.
Yeah.
I mean, and everyone knew that the books were a worldwide phenomenon. It was gonna get turned into a fucking movie.
It's literally the only fandom that managed to make a softcore porn fan fiction that spawned into its own book, which inevitably spawned into its own movie, which finally is fucking over.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
I watched the first one of those movies, too.
How
did you even bother?
How did you do that?
All I needed was the title, Twilight fan fiction. Nope.
Oh, this is before I knew it was based off of Twilight fan fiction.
Wow.
Yeah.
I am so sorry.
I only found that out recently.
It was written on a BlackBerry.
Literally.
Wow.
She wrote it.
I used to have a BlackBerry.
Like
That's
a
story in and of itself.
She wrote it on a BlackBerry. Like, didn't even run it on a computer. Wrote it on a fucking BlackBerry. I mean, it truly, vampires were something to be feared. Like, it was bad. And even when it was sexy, it was still bad.
Yeah.
Like, hold on. Perfect example of and which, by the way, is one of my picks, and it was a perfect example of a teenage situation with vampires working was Lost Boys.
Completely forgot about that movie.
Dude, perfect example of it working and everything else. Like, they were teenagers, but they weren't like overly sensitive. They were actually killers, and then they killed.
And
people.
they burned up in the sun.
And they rode dirt bikes, which I'm pretty sure were the same fucking dirt bikes from Karate Kid. It's like literally the same fucking dirt bikes. I was like, oh, those are the same things. Did you steal those off the set?
Anyway, let's get back on topic. So Zach, for those who haven't seen 30 Days of Night, what's it about?
Picture being locked in Alaska, no communication to the outside world, no transportation because some asshole sabotaged everything, in a town full of a bunch of angry ancient vampires.
And this is during that time in that one part of Alaska that literally does not get sunlight for 30 days.
Yeah, hence the title 30 Days of Night. And these are vicious demonic vampires. The only way you can kill them is with a nice clean shot to the head that makes their head explode. So shotguns. Yeah, I don't think any pistol shots. Maybe
no
a
one
revolver.
stakes the heart.
I don't remember that.
No.
I just remember guns being in this. Like, that was, like, literally, it was either you shoot the head or it's nothing.
And also a snowplow, which
Yeah.
that worked too. It was done by Bobby from Sons of Anarchy. It was great. I was like, oh, it's Bobby. It was a fun movie. I enjoyed it.
His sacrifice will always be remembered.
Indeed.
But yeah, there's this little interesting twist at the end. A guy turns himself into a vampire to save his girlfriend and everything like that. That was cool. And then also the violence was just something to be amazed.
I mean,
Red on snow is always nice.
Yeah.
Looks nice on camera.
It really does.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it was it brought everything back to what vampires are supposed to be.
Well, I mean, I think this was before Twilight.
No.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure.
For sure, it was during.
Yeah.
I mean, if it was during, it was the only good vampire movie to come out during, because then we got True Blood, Vampire Diaries, just vampires that aren't really fucking vampires.
Well, dude, you know what though? I will say this though. Supernatural, they were vampires.
Supernatural was this.
The movie for 30 Days of Night, 07. The first movie for Twilight, 08.
See, there you go, right before.
Yeah, right.
It was literally just like, here's your last great vampire movie. Now you're fucked.
Yeah. Then
Guillermo del Toro eventually gave us The Strain.
I still need to watch that.
Which is very, the vampires I'm sure are very similar between the two different movies.
Well, I mean, they're still human in this. They're just very feral, and they have their own form of communication, but they're still pretty much feral animals.
Yeah, they're very feral.
So Zach, what's the next one on your list?
Yeah, that's it, because otherwise I'm going to end up stealing Mark's.
I actually have a few.
Really?
Because I looked up a list and I started remembering a few of them and everything else.
Let's start with Lost Boys, since you already brought that one up.
Yeah. Lost Boys.
What's Lost Boys about?
Lost Boys is God. It's been a couple years now. Lost Boys is basically about a gang of teenagers that induct a new kid into their ranks, and he slowly finds out that they're vampires. Vampires who can fucking fly, and they ride dirt bikes. And Keith Sutherland has beach, highlight blonde hair. And
then you also got the Coreys in there.
Yeah, the Coreys are both in there and everything else. I mean, and the one Corey.
They're the ones hunting the vampires,
correct.
kind of.
Kind of, but Corey's crazy obsessed with vampires, and he talks about garlic a lot and silver and everything else.
These are the really cliche vampires, but it's still an awesome movie.
It is. It's a lot of fun. And, by the way, directed by Joel Schumacher.
I have another movie, but just continue.
We will come back to you, though.
Yeah.
I think it's a fun movie. It's a fun 80s teenage movie.
Okay.
I think yeah.
I don't mean to interrupt, but speaking of Corey Feldman and vampires, there's also the second Tales from the Crypt movie, Bordello of Blood.
I've never seen it.
If you like tits, vampires, and blood, I'm sure you can find better movies.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. Fair enough. I'll check it out anyway.
Sure.
I
have it on Blu-ray if you want to watch it.
Why not?
And I got it just because it felt wrong to have the Blu-ray of Demon Knight without the second Tales from the Crypt movie to go with it.
No, I hear you. So I definitely, that's all. What else can be said about that? Another two movies that I enjoyed.
You want to bounce back and forth?
Yeah, go ahead, Zach.
Okay. What the fuck was it? Oh yeah, Daybreakers. Anybody see that one?
I have not. Was that with Ethan Hawke?
Yeah, that was one with
Ethan Hawke and also the Sam Elliott was in there. Yeah, too.
What is that one about?
Pretty much vampires, pretty much took over the world.
Okay.
And
they use humans as actual fuel.
Yeah, they pretty much, what the fuck's the word I'm looking for?
Harvest.
Yeah, harvested a bunch of humans and stuff like that. And, there's still a few humans left kind of as like a resistance thing and all that, but their numbers are dwindling and they're pretty much done. Okay. Now, the problem is there's little to no humans left. And the only way vampires can continue is if they have human blood. So throughout the movie, the problem of there being no more humans left, it's really bad. And eventually Ethan Hawke's character gets joins the human characters, and they find a cure for the vampirism. And one of these cures, once you pretty much get cured, if you get bitten, it cures those people. And because all the vampires are just so chain hungry and all that stuff, it inevitably comes this feeding frenzy of people eating each other, then eating each other, then eat, cure, eat, cure, eat, cure. Pretty much anybody who gets eaten dies because everybody's just feeding off these people because there's no fucking food left. Mm-hmm. And it's just this violent massacre towards the end. It's a good movie. It's a good story, too.
Nice.
Definitely got my attention on that.
Yeah, that's it.
It's a very unique... I haven't seen a vampire movie like it before, where it's like, vampires have taken over the world, little to no food left, what the hell would happen?
Why the hell not?
Yeah.
So
I just watched it off of a whim one day. I'm like, Ethan Hawke, sure, why not?
I like Ethan Hawke. He's a good actor.
Yeah, he's in some good movies.
I got two that kind of tie, and they're both like fun horror movies, vampire movies, and that's Dracula 2000 with a very young Gerard Butler.
That was gonna be my other one.
And the other one that ties is John Carpenter's Vampires.
That's an entertaining one.
I think they're both very entertaining movies.
Do you want to go over what they're about?
Dracula 2000 is really interesting. It's a young Gerard Butler is Dracula, and it I guess spoiler alert and everything else. It turns out that he's Judas.
It's a very interesting movie.
Like
and a very interesting cast as well.
Yeah, the whole point is he's the first vampire.
Yeah.
Like that's the whole big gist of the plot. And it turns out that he's Judas, and that's his sin, that he becomes a vampire to walk the earth as a vampire for the rest of existence. And then he hunts down a bunch of people and kills them. I mean, it's pretty simple for the most part. But it's a lot of fun. It's a fun vampire movie.
It's a Gerard Butler movie before he became Spartans.
Yes, that is very true. And also was a very small part in Tomorrow Never Dies, which is a James Bond movie.
He was in Tomorrow Never Dies.
He was in Tomorrow Never Dies. He was one of the ship operators in the boat that sinks at the very beginning of the movie.
Well, he reprised that role in what the hell was that movie that came out last year?
I don't know, some shit movie.
And it was pretty good.
And then John Carpenter's Vampires is about a group of vampire hunters, led by James Woods.
I have James Woods.
And he's amazing. It's actually a lot of fun. And I'm also pretty sure one of the Baldwins is in that too. Can't remember which Baldwin though.
Alec?
No, it wasn't Alec.
It wasn't Alec.
Vampires is... Alec Baldwin is way too good for John Carpenter's Vampires.
Yeah,
it's also Daniel Baldwin.
Yeah, I knew it was one of the Baldwins. It's a fun movie. You know what's so funny? I remember bits and pieces about it. Do not remember the plot, except that there were vampire hunters.
Was there a plot?
Not really. I think it was a pretty toss-away, enjoyable vampire movie that I loved. I'm very curious to hear what Zack says, because I have two more after
I have
this.
a few. All right, so my next one is Buffy, the original movie from '92.
Yeah,
I
cannot do the movie.
Look, it's mainly my mother's fault. She's a huge fucking Buffy fan, and I don't know, it just kind of grew on me. I saw the show before I saw the movie, but the movie was fun.
I can't do the movie. I think the movie is so.
I have no idea what either the show or the movie is about.
I mean, it's
Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
It's literally high school girl kicking vampire ass.
Pretty much, and then other shit too.
It's a simple story, and it's just fun to watch.
Yeah,
and my mother was fucking obsessed with it, so I had to watch it a lot. So there you go.
No, I hear you. I'm actually down to my final two. Well,
depending on which one you say.
I'm surprised neither of you have mentioned.
Shish,
because it's probably in the final two and everything else, and I wanna. All right. Damn it! Well, obviously it's Blade. Blade's number 2. There is one more above it and everything else. Blade's fucking awesome. I like. It's not only is it one of my favorite horror movies, one of my favorite action movies. It's a great plot. Wesley Snipes was the best cast, and actually, Frost is one of my favorite villains. I think he's a fucking ball. The opening scene is fantastic. Just
the
from
club scene.
the club scene is fantastic, and just from a visual look of how it sets the tone for the entire movie, you go, "Oh, this is what the fuck this movie's about."
It's literally raining
blood. A dude gets kind of It's such a great start to an atmosphere. A dude gets led into a club by some hot chick, and she's like, "You need to come up," and he's just trying to figure out what the fuck's going on. And then all of a sudden, he gets like a little droplet of blood on his cheek. He's like, "What the fuck?" And then all of a sudden, all the sprinklers go off, and it all comes blooding down. Everyone transforms into vampires. You're like, "Holy shit, this is what we're doing!" And then he almost gets eaten, and then Blade shows up, and
Freaking Daywalker, half vampire, half human, hunting vampires.
and he has all the best of the vampires, but none of the drawbacks, except for the bloodlust.
Like,
The
it's movies like that the MCU needs.
yeah,
There's a lot of things that the MCU needs, but Disney's too chicken to do it.
But what I feel the Blade movies was missing was the afro. If you've ever looked at the 1970s Blade comics.
Well, no shit, it's the 1970s.
Just everything about Blade was just great. There was a great plot. It was a great action. Overall, it was a lot of good stuff going on.
Was that the first major studio Marvel movie?
Yes.
Like, I know there were Marvel movies before it, but it was like the Dolph Lundgren Punisher. There was like the Roger Corman Fantastic Four that was never meant to see the light of day.
And then also was the who was the Hulk? Lou Ferrigno.
Lou Ferrigno, but that was a TV series and a couple TV movies.
The funny thing is though, they never. That was before Marvel Film Studios was even open.
Oh yeah.
Like, so like and the opening titles, like, it doesn't say Marvel. I think
it's not. It might be there in modern releases, but in the old releases, I don't believe that was.
I think it says that in the opening titles based on a Marvel comic, but it doesn't say like it doesn't have like an actual.
But yeah, and that I think that is the first major studio.
It has to be
Marvel movie.
I want to say the first movie to actually ever incorporate the Marvel logo the way it was Spider-Man. I don't think X-Men did it.
Okay.
I think it was Spider-Man that actually started off with the the Marvel intro logo thing.
That would probably
where the
make
comics
sense.
Are flashing over the letters and then you get Marvel.
But
because then the web would just come out. God, that intro was great.
But yeah, overall it's great story, great plot, great action. Overall, a solid movie. And actually, I watched it recently, and I'm like, this is actually really good. Like, I love all the action of it, but the plot is really good. About Frost, coming back, the changing in the guard and the vampire stuff. They get into the vampire religion a little bit, and actually too, and just Blade is an overall character. He's just a sarcastic, bitter prick.
What did you think of the sequels?
I saw only parts of 2, I'm pretty sure I turned off 3. I think 3 got a little loopy, for me.
Yeah, like I remember enjoying 2. I really like the makeup effects in 2. But I mean, Guillermo del Toro, what do you expect?
Of course.
And then I never saw 3, but I actually have a little film reel of the trailer for Blade 3.
Oh God.
Yeah.
It's just Ryan Reynolds trying to be Deadpool. Like
it's the early stages.
It's a failed attempt at Deadpool, like until he actually gets what he wants.
He's been trying to get it for years, and he finally achieved it. And
finally got it. Never give up on your dreams.
Yeah, ever. So that's one lesson, kids. Never give up. If you want to be Deadpool when you grow up, just keep doing it.
And have you watched the new TV series?
I
What We Do in the Shadows?
not. Oh, What We Do in the Shadows?
Yeah.
I've seen the original one.
This is a lot better than the movie.
And the movie, what's so funny? And I actually enjoyed the movie. I think it's quirky humor.
Yeah, like I think the movie has good bits, but I think it works better as a TV series.
Of
because
course.
it's like you can like each half-hour episode can actually focus on something, and it's brilliant. But there's one episode where they have to go up in front of the Vampire Council, and they have all these actors who have played famous vampires in movies before playing the Vampire Council. So you've got Tilda Swinton in there. You've got Evan Rachel Wood. You've got Danny Trejo. You've got Paul Rubens.
Nice.
And then over Skype, you have Wesley Snipes, who plays a daywalker. And then there are all these other vampires in the council that couldn't make it, like Kiefer or Rob, Brad and Tom. They couldn't make it.
Oh, that's great.
Like, it was so brilliant.
It's so fucking great. Yeah, but overall, Zach, I think you're gonna take what I'm gonna take, and if you don't, I'm taking it. This better
be the one that I think it is. I skipped it for nothing.
No. If he doesn't take it, I will take it because I know exactly what you're thinking.
I'm just debating whether or not I want to be a dick right now.
Don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, Van Helsing.
Damn it, Zach.
No, I'm fucking with you.
So what I love about Van Helsing.
Okay, we're gonna continue with this.
Took the classic Universal monsters and Hugh Jackman fought them. I don't know. I tuned out.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Nothing's happening. Something about a map.
The best thing about Van Helsing was Universal saw as an excuse to remaster the classic Universal monster movies onto DVD.
That's what got them to do that?
Zach, go ahead.
All right. From Dusk
Till Dawn. Yeah, thank God. It was literally my number one. I saw it. I'm like, I'm a fucking moron for not remembering this because I was so hooked on Blade. All right, the Tale of Three Cheeches. What the fuck is not to like? It's a Tale of Three Cheeches. Cheech plays 3 separate roles in this fucking movie. And nobody bats an eye. And nobody says shit for years.
So for everyone that hasn't seen From Dusk Till Dawn,
what are you doing with your life? Stop this. Go watch the damn movie.
First of all, go watch the movie.
Yeah. It's awesome.
It is hands down. It's probably one of the best vampire movies ever.
Oh, totally.
And also, too, half of it's not a fucking vampire movie.
Like it's the first half is.
Spoiler alert! Right now. I can't.
We already said it's a vampire movie.
I know.
You can't get much more spoiler than that.
I know, but I can't.
It's 2019. If you haven't seen this movie, nor do you not know it's a fucking vampire movie, you have a serious problem.
You need to go see this movie.
But yeah, so we've got Quentin Tarantino and George Clooney playing brothers.
Gecko Brothers.
That already right there is just one hell of a combination.
And arguably one of the best opening scenes ever.
And they're trying to get to Mexico. They pretty much kidnap a family consisting of a recently widowed retired preacher,
Harvey Keitel,
his daughter, Juliette Lewis, and his adopted son.
Some kid. Some kid.
And yeah, so they enlist the preacher and his
By the way, I checked that kid's IMDb. Yeah. He was only in like an episode of Buffy.
Okay.
Like that's it.
That explains that connection.
They go across the Mexican border and they pretty much spend the night at this bar that's open all night.
Titty twister.
Waiting for their business partners.
The other Cheech.
Yep. But little do they know, vampires.
It's a vampire den.
You have Tom Savini in there. Three Cheeches is Mark.
Okay, so
and then so here's the thing. Quentin Tarantino wrote the screenplay for this. Robert Rodriguez directed it, but Tarantino wrote the screenplay based on a story idea from Robert Kurtzman of K&B Effects fame. So Tarantino wrote it, all right? And if you look at his movies, you know he's got a thing for feet.
He does.
And there's a scene.
There's some shit in some feet.
And there is a scene in From Dusk Till Dawn with a stripper dancer, Salma Hayek, wearing a boa constrictor around her neck. And she freaking jams her foot down Tarantino's mouth and pours wine down her leg into his mouth.
It's amazing.
He is the one who wrote this.
It's amazing. It's amazing. That's all right.
But no. Like,
I understand. I understand. The man's obsession
bothers me.
The man's obsession with feet is legendary.
Look, foot fetishes are apparently a thing. Get over it. There's nothing we can do about it.
But
it's still one of my.
He wrote that for his own character, though.
Dude,
you can't ignore that.
It's still one of my favorite jokes from Honest Trailers about Die Hard and everything else. It's like a movie about feet stuff, which is either a foot fetish's wet dream or the worst nightmare. or an even weirder Tarantino level foot fetish. We are not here to judge. The
Fair.
The
The man has a foot fetish. I don't
I'm
know.
not judging. I'm just saying.
It's an observation at best. By the way, Tale of Three Cheeches. So Cheech plays 3 roles in this. He plays a guard at the Mexican border, a police officer at the Mexican border, who runs into what's her face in the bathroom, Juliette Lewis, and then shuts the door. And then he also is one of the guys with a very large mustache and very pronounced eyebrows, who is I call him the Pussy Man, because he tells about how there's a lot of pussy in this particular club, and he also lists off the different types of pussy that you will encounter in said club.
Now, is that written or is that improvised?
I can only you know what, either one would not surprise me. Either one, because it's Tarantino. It's so like
Tarantino and Cheech.
So like, I don't know. You tell me, buddy. I have no idea if this is improvised or actually written. You keeping me in suspense?
No, I was asking you.
No, I have no idea. Like neither one of.
I was going to say, you're the Wikipedia page on Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah. Sure, we'll go with that. But and then he also turns into a vampire and then gets taken out. I'm pissing them off right now.
Mark keeps playing with stuff and it's making noise. I keep taking it away from him.
No. And then he also plays George Clooney's contact at the very, very end, who shows up just in the nick of time to blow holes in the club when there's sunlight in there, which proceeds to my favorite movie line
so all the vampires
of all
blow
time.
up.
All time. And then they run out, and then the whole club blows up like a Power Rangers explosion in the background. Which, by the way, nobody ever says that it randomly blows up. But the George Clooney proceeds to punch Cheech in the face. Because obviously he's very angry. Everyone's dead except him and Juliette Lewis. I don't know why. And Cheech asks him, he's like, like everyone's dead. He's like, what were they, psychos? It's like, psychos do not explode when sunlight hits them. I don't give a fuck how crazy they are. They were vampires. And that was it. That was the line. It's a great fucking movie. It's an absolutely great movie. I cannot recommend it anymore. Zach, anything you want to add on to From Dusk Till Dawn?
It was awesome. I just liked it.
Yeah.
I like Tom Savini as Sex Machine.
It's just a fucking pistol.
I also like how he turns into the biggest fucking vampire as well.
Yeah, he does.
It's just like, whoop, oh, okay.
Doesn't he also turn into a giant, like, rat or vermin of some kind as well?
Either way, he changes into the biggest creature in the movie.
Yes.
And it's like the transformation just slowly happens and he's covering up parts of him. And then he throws somebody into the door and then he turns around. Okay.
Yeah, overall, a great movie. A fantastic cast, well written.
Yeah.
The effects were great.
Back in the days of practical when people had to give a damn.
Indeed. But just overall, just fucking see it.
I remember the first time I saw it, I was in middle school. My brother just came home one day and he had the box set. He was like, Brandon, I'm showing this to you. And this was after he introduced me to Kill Bill Volume 1.
I am so sorry.
And after Pulp Fiction, so I was already interested in Tarantino, and I saw it. Oh, okay, this is a Tarantino movie. You've got my attention. I had no idea it had vampires going in. Like, it's just like,
No one
you're
did.
watching this.
No one did.
I want to know how little Brandon reacted to the foot thing.
I didn't.
Because he didn't realize it until later
That's
on.
disappointing.
And I was like 13 when I saw the movie at first.
This is weird.
Oh god, it's Tarantino and his foot fetish. It is something.
Yeah, it is.
Oh my god! All right, so did we miss any vampire movies? We pretty much covered
I
on
think we
everything.
covered all the major ones.
Yeah,
I don't know. Did anybody like Queen of the Damned?
not really.
Interview with a Vampire?
I did. I wouldn't
I
really.
enjoyed it, but I really don't remember that much of it.
I saw it on the list, but I really wasn't gonna add it as a horror movie per se. Like it's a good vampire movie. It's more of a drama.
So I guess we're not
My
doing that Eddie
favorite-
Murphy movie.
Like, my favorite thing about Interview with a Vampire was in Bowfinger, Steve Martin talks about how Tom Cruise didn't realize he was in that vampire movie 2 years later.
Oh god, the Bowfinger. Tropic Thunder before it's Tropic Thunder. You know what? Honestly, there's only one scene that's actually really like heartbreaking and almost horrifying. Is when they put Kirsten Dunst and then the other lady in that fucking open well, and then when the sun actually comes up and they turn into dust. It's actually very disturbing and dramatic, but
the original 1985 Fright Night is enjoyable. I also enjoyed the Colin Farrell remake. Love at First Bite.
Really?
These kids and their mother is dating Dracula. Once Bitten with Jim Carrey.
Oh my god.
Yep.
That's interesting.
Jim Carrey and his character's virgin blood that this female vampire needs to feed on. That was a thing.
What was the one about the date? What was that called?
Love at First Bite.
Oh, okay.
You ever see it?
No, I never saw it, but
It's
like
actually pretty darn enjoyable.
there's literally a knockoff movie.
I was gonna say, is that a Disney movie?
The Disney
sounds like
there was a knockoff movie.
I was
that
gonna
Disney
say that
did.
sounds like a Disney movie.
The Disney Channel actually did a knockoff movie called a date. My mom is on a date with a vampire.
That one surprised me.
Something
bit.
like that.
I was gonna say that. I feel like I've seen a commercial for that somewhere, and that doesn't sound like a good idea. Well, maybe the idea is good, but Disney's doing it, so it's probably not good.
The First Bite was totally made by somebody who really enjoyed the classic Universal movies. Like, the Renfield in Love at First Bite is completely based off of the Renfield in the 1931 Bela Lugosi Dracula. It's a very enjoyable vampire comedy.
All right.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice. I'll definitely check that out.
And then nearly everything else I have, like I probably mentioned last week during our monster movies, like we have Dracula as the main villain in Monster Squad. We have Guillermo del Toro as the Strain. I guess we should briefly mention Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula with Gary Oldman.
I mean, Gary Oldman was fantastic.
I mean, there's 3 movies that are pretty much just, cliche. It's that, Nosferatu, and then, of course, Dracula.
Yeah, which, I mean, that Dracula looks amazing.
Oh, it does.
Like, everything was done in camera. Every visual effect was done in camera.
Which is
using,
amazing.
like, some of them were used, some of the effects were done using projectors. There's a scene with the journal covering up half the screen, and then you see the carriage going off on the land in the background. That wasn't done in post. They actually had a journal in front of the lens and a projector doing the carriage scene. So it's like everything in that movie was done in camera, and it's amazing. The movie itself is a little long,
Okay.
to put it mildly. Oh, and we have Keanu Reeves in it.
God. You are Dracula.
Whoa. Keanu Reeves is a fine actor. He did not need to be in Dracula.
Oh my god! By the way, I watched that Netflix movie the other night. This is completely off topic, but what the fuck was it called? It's
I don't know. What is it called, Mark?
What's it called?
It's definitely maybe or
With Ryan Reynolds?
No, not Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds is in a vampire movie? That's
No,
not Blade?
Definitely maybe is a Ryan Reynolds romantic comedy.
Oh, yeah, I know which one that is. Where he was like a fat teenager.
No, that was Just Friends.
Oh, okay. What the hell was the one you're talking about?
It's just generic 2000s romantic comedy.
He was in a lot of those back then.
Yeah.
Huh.
And then he became Deadpool.
And now he's just Deadpool in every movie he's in.
Yep, pretty much.
Did anybody see Detective Deadpool yet?
No. No, it's
I see what you did there.
It's a stupid romantic comedy I was watching the other day because I was bored. It was always be my maybe, and she literally dates Keanu Reeves.
Okay.
And it's Keanu Reeves playing Keanu Reeves.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's pretty amazing.
Wait, I know what movie you're talking about. Is this with the what the hell are the The two Asian?
Yeah, the two Asians
Yeah,
and everything else. But she dates Keanu Reeves.
Wes was telling me about this. He said it was very meh.
It is very mad, but when like Keanu Reeves shows up playing Keanu Reeves,
Only it's opposite Keanu Reeves. He's just a complete dick.
oh yeah, oh my god, he's a huge douche, but he's great.
They eat food and listen to the food that they're eating.
Yes.
I'm like,
Oh, it's amazing. And then he actually snuck this in between productions for John Wick 3.
wow.
He didn't sleep for 5 days to play this part.
Well, I mean, it's only like not even a quarter of the movie.
No,
I mean,
not
it was
even
small.
like 2-3 scenes and
Yeah.
everything else. But he's amazing. He's such a douchebag.
He's just like, I get to play a prick. That's a new feeling. Let me try that.
He literally walks in with glasses. He's like, oh, I'm not wearing. I don't actually wear glasses. These are just for a role. Look, they don't even have lenses in them. And I'm like, oh my god, this is great. Oh, it was like This Is the End when they all played versions of themselves.
That's so great because like you hear stories about Keanu Reeves and it's like I'm sure that was right, like performance wise and as far as becoming as somebody who is not you, that role sounds like it might be his best performance.
Oh, I'm sure it's a blast.
I was gonna say nobody can say that man cannot act.
Yeah. You ever see Scanner Darkly?
I feel like I have.
That's that rotoscoped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a quick temperature in just a second.
Quick temperature.
Favorite Keanu Reeves movie? Go ahead, go.
Scanner
Matrix.
Scared Darkly?
Matrix. I fucking love the Matrix.
It's gotta be Speed for me. Like that's one of my favorites.
How'd you feel about Speed 2?
What?
How'd you feel about speed reading?
No.
From the critic.
No.
You gotta read this book at least 50 words per minute or else it explodes. What? Whoa. Oh, two.
Boom. That's so great. That is fantastic. Anyway, any more vampire movies, gents?
I don't know. We haven't talked about a vampire movie in a while now.
I think we're all tapped on vampire movies. I'm gonna do my my question of the podcast, which is always my favorite part. I actually gave these gentlemen a opportunity to think about my question beforehand, but I'm definitely gonna hear what they have to say. My question of the day is: what is your favorite horror movie score?
Phantasm.
Phantasm. Why?
So it's that synthesizer score. It's kind of similar to Halloween's score, but I like Phantasm's score more because I feel like it has a bit more escalation to it.
Okay.
And it's just so creepy. And like there's also a metal cover of the theme as well that you can find out there, of course.
Gotta love it.
But no, it's just I really like the Phantasm movies, and the score is like half of the character of those movies, and it just every scene that it's in, it works.
Nice.
And like I said, it's I don't know, it just perfectly encapsulates the feeling of those movies.
Nice. I dig it.
And when I think of favorite scores, I try to think of something that I would listen to in my normal rotation of like when I'm writing and listening to music. The Phantasm theme is probably the horror theme that I listen to the most.
Okay.
Like it's a regular rotation in the music that I listen to.
Nice. All right. Zacchaeus.
For me, it's a tough choice between the Hellraiser theme and Nightmare on Elm Street theme.
That's a good one.
Yeah. The Nightmare on Elm Street theme is absolutely more iconic, but the Hellraiser theme has a sort of elegance to it that is just very amusing and nice to listen to. And it
You don't really get many movies with the Hellraiser theme.
No.
Feeling.
I was going to say...
It's very...
It's funny because they use the theme in Spider-Man 2. When the...
That's... What an odd place to put that.
When Doc Ock's Power of the Sun is fucking up, this theme actually starts playing for like a good minute or so, and then it cuts off. I'm just... Because I remember I was listening to it, and I'm like, where the fuck have I heard this before? And it clicked. I'm like, holy shit!
Well, when I saw the Hateful Eight on opening night in that horse carriage is... the stagecoach is going by. I'm just like, where did I hear this music before? Oh, right, Exorcist 2.
Exorcist 2? I don't even remember that one's theme.
You're better off.
Yeah, no, not many people do.
I remember the first one.
Everybody remembers the first one.
The first one's
Yeah,
amazing.
I'm sure they do.
But those were your ties up?
Yeah, the Friday the 13th themes, there's a good chunk of them that are good. They're
Friday the 13th Part 3 is the best.
that credit theme.
The freaking disco music.
Dun 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 dun.
Hey, Brandon.
Yeah.
You know you're going to have to put links in the description below, right, buddy?
I have not been taking notes.
Oh, you're going to have to go back and listen and find out. It's going to be bad. It's going to be awkward. You have to do that.
Hey, he doesn't have anything else to do. He doesn't have a job.
I have a job some days.
It's kind of.
Keyword some days. There's a reason we give him all the web work.
Yeah, no kidding. Zachmus, is that it? Are those your final answers?
Yeah, it's definitely a tie between Hellraiser and Nightmare.
Nice. Okay. All right. Fair enough. The I know for me though, it's definitely gonna be Jaws and Halloween.
I was gonna say, can we really let
You're
you
such a
choose those?
basic.
Because of course Jaws is the best.
And also the I'll add one more in there though because I think it really does set the mood. Is Psycho.
Yeah. Okay.
The original Psycho. I think that there's nothing quite like that theme, especially for its time. It sets you in that mood that's so eerie. Especially when it hits that high pitch when she's actually getting stabbed. It puts you in another place altogether. And I think a good runner up though would probably be Poltergeist as well.
Okay.
That's a really really creepy one. There's so many good ones. I like something that I probably never said on this podcast. I'm a massive score fan. I love film scores. I imagine that's probably a given for everybody here, but I'm a giant music fan, and just as much as I am a film fan. Mm-hmm. So anytime I can combine those two worlds, it's a pretty good day for me.
Man, have I ever introduced you to my friend Justin?
Yeah, I met Justin. I haven't really got a chance to talk to him, but I mean,
it's too bad we don't have him with us right now.
To talk about
scores. He's got a massive vinyl collection of horror movie scores, and it's like literally every other day. He's like, I just ordered this one on vinyl, and it's like some of the artwork on some of those.
Oh, it's gotta be tremendous.
Is amazing.
I don't have the money for a collection like that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'd love to.
But no, he's got some really good ones.
And he has those things constantly playing on loop as well. There's always one playing whenever you go into his place.
Yeah.
And the one too that you added on to was which is crazy iconic is the first Exorcist. The theme from that one is just beyond iconic. And another one that puts you.
I would say that's the first major iconic.
Psycho was first. Psycho was beforehand. Everything else, especially the one part of
that's the thing. It's just one part.
No, but I disagree.
For me, it's
but also the same thing with The Exorcist. Like the first 10 to 30 seconds is very iconic, just the same as well. And then the rest of the theme just blends in with it. But I mean, like there's certain parts of these themes that are very very important. There's only. I think Jaws and Halloween are the only ones that are pretty much consistently the same throughout the whole song.
For the most part.
So, I mean...
and for me, I like a little more variety in my scores.
Correct. And Psycho definitely provides that. So does... Yep. So does most of that, that era. Rosemary's Baby, The Omen.
Rosemary's Baby's score was creepy.
It's insanely creepy. What's the one that has the kids' voices? Is that the Poltergeist, or is that which one is that?
I think of The Omen.
The Omen, yeah. It's and you go, this is very disturbing.
Which that's a movie that gets disturbing each time, more disturbing each time I see it. Like the first time I saw The Omen, I didn't really care for it. Now I think it's one of the best of the '70s.
I think it's all for you, Damien. And that bitch jumps out the balcony. The ending's more disturbing than anything else. Mm-hmm. And you go, that motherfucker's still alive. He's still running around.
There was actually a book written shortly after The Omen came out, and it listed it as it was a book called the 50 worst movies ever made, and The Omen was one of them. When you're really wrong and you find out decades later just how wrong you are.
Well, though, it's funny how you know what the funny thing is, Leonardo DiCaprio had actually a great quote. He says, "Best pictures should be released 10 or 5 years after the film has been released."
Yeah.
To see how it actually holds up.
Yeah.
And there's some movies that hold up very, very well, and there's some movies that just do not.
Remember The Artist?
The fuck is that?
Exactly.
Or Slumdog Millionaire.
I like Slumdog Millionaire.
I mean, but you're probably one of the very few people that remember it. Like, I don't remember it. I think I saw it once. I don't remember anything. What it was.
Problem is, most Oscar movies these days are just boring Oscar-bait movies. They're made just to get an Oscar with a certain criteria.
Yeah,
they're not entertaining movies.
I don't think Green Book will really hold up. Like, Green Book is a fine movie, but is it Best Picture? I don't think so.
I think Green Book. Green Book kind of had a different thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder why.
Does it have to do with the I word?
Yes, it does.
Italian.
I tell you, you know what? And the funny thing is, there's a couple times like I saw my nana in those scenes, and a couple times I saw my dad in those scenes, and everything else. I remember there's a couple just great scenes in that movie when I go, wow, that's a lot of my family there.
I really do want to see it. I've seen a couple scenes of it in the theater.
It really is good.
It looked like. It was really mind blowing to me when I realized what the fuck's that actor's name again?
Viggo Mortensen.
Yeah,
it's so much better than Driving Miss Daisy.
Yeah, no, it's good. I just don't think. I'm looking back, like 10 years from now. Looking back, will probably be like, really, Best Picture was good, but it's not Best Picture.
Out of all the other movies that came out,
and I would have voted for BlacKkKlansman out of those 9. Or
I didn't get a chance to see it.
BlacKkKlansman was good. And Green Book, in all honesty, would probably be my number 2 pick. Like, I wasn't too fond of a lot of Best Picture nominees this past year.
None of those movies compared to the most underrated movie of the year.
Mandy?
Yep. It's a goddamn shame, that movie.
Yeah, my top 2 from last year would probably be Mandy and Sorry to Bother You. 2 very genre-heavy movies.
Whew! Sorry to Bother You was that was something. The that was the best mindfuck I've ever been on. I enjoyed being on that.
That's a movie where it's more funny to watch people watch.
No, Society's fun for people to watch.
No, that's just a party right there. That is a movie you just get a party of people who have no idea what the hell they're getting into, and you just play and you just watch. Just enjoy the show.
It's the quickest way to lose friends.
No, it's the quickest way to gain friends.
Fucking Brandon sits there like fucking Joker at the end of the movie. And here we go.
He's not wrong.
Still, ever tell you what one movie critic has said as a compliment to his character, which I loved? Still one of my favorite character critique compliments.
What's that?
Heath Ledger plays the Joker like the demented offspring of Alex from A Clockwork Orange.
I see it.
Yeah, and I remember hearing that. I'm like, wow, that's a really good fucking compliment, and very well put.
I'd say that's fair.
But Sorry to Bother You though was something else, man. Holy shit. I thought I was watching one movie, then I was watching another movie, then I was watching another movie, and then I went back again. It's I don't even want to start to explain that fucking movie. Holy shit.
That's a movie where if you haven't seen it, go watch it.
Yeah,
Let us know what you think.
Yeah, just go watch it. It's like trying to explain Cabin in the Woods to somebody like who hasn't seen it when they have, and try not to spoil it.
It's like, just watch it.
Just watch it. Go do it. Just watch it.
Don't look up anything about it. Just watch it.
But
you're ruining for yourself if you do.
Yeah, you really are.
Yeah. For
Such
sure.
a great movie. It's
for sure.
Definitely one of the best horror movies of the decade, if not.
So yeah, vampires.
What are vampires?
Bloodsuckers.
Bloodsuckers.
Really? They don't sparkle in the moonlight anymore, or sunlight, whatever.
But then they burst into flame.
Are you sure? I thought we extinguished
Unless
that.
they're wearing helmets. Unless they're wearing
No.
motorcycle helmets with visors on
No,
them.
motorcycle helmets and leather.
And leather.
Because that makes sense.
Actually, that's pretty funny because they actually did that in an episode of What We Do in the Shadows.
Nice.
Like the main female vampire turns a female college student into a vampire, And then she's the newly turned vampire is like, I want to watch the sunrise. And the main vampire is like, that's the thing. You can't do the sun ever again. Which is like, but now if we wear motorcycle helmets, that'll protect us. So then they're sitting on the roof wearing motorcycle helmets, and the sun starts coming up, and they're just like, oh God, we're burning.
Oh, I love Blade, man, but it's not without its plot holes and its other problems.
That's 3 though.
Yeah. No, that happened in 1.
Was it in 1?
That was in 1 when they kill one of the main vampires, and their whole thing was you were born a vampire, but we became vampires, so therefore we can kind of get away with being in the sun for a little bit. Even I went, and this is somebody who loves Blade. I went, really though? Could you?
Apparently,
I call bullshit.
I mean, it was kind of one of our famous. Sure.
Fuck it.
Sure. Sure that works. But yeah, I think that we should move on to our film production side of things. And since Zack has been the one who's talked the least the most of this episode, he gets talked the most because we're going to talk about post production, and that is Zack's expertise. So I will let him talk about some of the things he's been going with editing episode 2. However, I wouldn't mind if you would talk a little bit about episode 1 because you certainly had your fair share of issues.
Hello.
Hell.
Shit, where do I start?
So what's your process? Like, how do you begin and edit?
Organize.
All right, what goes into organizing?
What do you call that?
All right, so pretty much I organize everything into folders. I will go by, so there's the scene, so scene 1, I will go through every take, A take, B take, and all that. I will get all those put into their thing, and then I will look for the sound files, put those with them. So as soon as I import everything into Premiere, what'll happen is everything will just be there ready for me. If I need that take, and I need that sound, it's all right there. I'm gonna fucking stab you 2 in a minute. I don't know how to talk louder.
Right there.
What do you mean?
There you go. You're talking louder.
Oh, Jesus Christ. It's going to be auto-leveled anyway, so it's not like this matters.
Well, now it doesn't. Ass. Talk louder.
I don't like talking.
Oh, it's not a fucking stage whisper. Like, talk louder.
You can cut this out later.
All right.
Yeah.
What's it called?
So you have the folders organized by scene and shot, you said?
Yeah, so I organize it scene, shot, and then I just put all those things into their categories. And then I just start from beginning to end. I like to organize in order. I know some people don't like to do that for reasons I'll never understand, but I just do it in order just for simplicity's sake. It helps me go by.
I know some editors tend to like to work off storyboards, others have the script right next to them. How do you decide the order of the shots that you put them in?
Well,
like when you're doing a scene, not necessarily like obviously scene 1 goes first and scene 2.
So I
guess
guess
deciding which angles to cut to in a scene. How do you decide?
So
when
I
time to cut is?
pretty much I examine every shot. So every take I examine. All right, what do I like the most? What looks good? And then I'll just start experimenting with stuff. Mm-hmm. I don't use storyboards. Never have. I don't use script notes because everything I've edited for the most part has been my work. I've edited a few other projects, but those projects were completely unorganized. And the fuck is going on over there?
I think the cats are going rogue over there.
The fluffy little fuckers.
The cats have gone rogue.
Goddamn fluffies. Anyways, yeah, for the most part, I just organized in order. I look through each shot. I kind of decide what I think is the best take for the end, and I just kind of start cutting things together. It's really just as simple as that.
So for something like Living Nightmares, when you got to build tension, what's your process of building tension?
Yeah, I guess it just depends on the scene. It depends on what it calls for. Pacing, quickness. I don't know. You just love playing with shit.
That time I actually wasn't meaning to play with anything.
But yeah, I just I just mess with stuff until I get something that I like. I really don't have a process, at least that I can think of. I just mess with stuff, and when I come out with something I like, it's just like, all right, take a look at this. Let me see what you think. Usually my first time around is always my weakest, but it's my second time around where I'm just like, okay, now I know what the hell I'm doing. Dut, 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 dut. And that's when things usually come out the best.
What were some of your biggest challenges with episode 1 in the post process?
The damn phone screen.
The split screen.
Yeah, the split screen thing. I thought that was going to be a simple, just, put this here, animate this, and yada, 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 and it'll go well. No, I had to animate every little nick and cranny of that damn screen.
Every
and
incoming text, every outgoing
I didn't think that was going to be
text.
as annoying as it was, but it was just pretty much getting... I had to download Snapchat and actually look at it and organize it. Because one thing I tried to do to cheat it was just record myself doing the whole thing just to make it as super accurate as possible. That didn't work out well at all. Timing was just super fucking annoying. So I had no choice. I had to animate everything from start to finish. I had to create the screen. I had to create the backdrop. I had to create everything from scratch. Icons, all that. And it was super fucking annoying. It's the reason why that episode took as long as it did, because I did not expect that to take as long as it did.
First week of December all the way till the first week of March.
Yeah. All because of that damn screen. And then finding out there's a few other fuck-up situations that we had to deal with.
Like
Thank you, Wes.
Like when Wes spotted the boom mic in one of the shots.
I-
And it was a moving shot, too.
I don't know how many times we screened this damn thing and none of us caught it. He was the only one. Only one!
Sorry about that.
Oh, yeah, because you were the one holding the mic, weren't you, Mike?
I actually, know what? That particular scene, I was not. That would be David.
Gonna try to blame David on this
The,
one.
I don't blame David. He's too nice.
No.
There's that and he's a grip. That's not an excuse.
Yeah.
Get both.
Yeah, I, you know what?
He controls shit.
Executive producer's prerogative, all right? I can do that. I love you, David.
I want to hear about your process for sound design, because you're not a sound person at all, but you were literally the post-production person for everything on episode 1. So what'd you put into the sound design?
I tried to make it as realistic as possible. I tried to think, all right, what sounds would be going on at this point in time? And I'm just like, all right, let's put it in there. Wind, rain, minor footsteps, the door opening and closing, the handle, the keys, the chain. It's not like I'm not entirely not used to doing sound design, because I did take a sound design class for like my last 2 quarters of college, and Andy Alton, I believe his name was, he actually taught a really good course. Kirstage is a fucking moron. He didn't teach shit the 2 quarters I had with him, so fuck you.
I'm sure he appreciates you calling him out by name.
It'll probably be cut, but anyways.
So for episode 1, you took more of a realistic approach with music added. I know some sound designers like to take a more abstract approach in creating the feeling using sound.
And that's fair, but I'm not really experienced with that. I'm more, I just know how to create a realistic sound environment. That's all I really know how to do. As for creating an abstract, more, something like out of Oculus or something like that, I don't know how to do that.
Or like what about creating tone with sound? Like, is that something you want to experiment with episode 2?
I wouldn't mind experimenting with it, but again,
or are we going to take a more realistic approach again with episode 2?
Probably for now just realistic, because that's, I mean, I could experiment with it, but as for tone, I don't know. Like,
I'd like to see you experiment with it.
It's one of those things where I just, as soon as I learn it, I'll be able to do it better. Like, I wanted to try to learn scoring at some point, but that's a whole other fucking bargain and deal that I just don't have the time to learn right now.
Yeah.
I'm trying to, my main focus is getting all my visual effects and directing skills done with. Those are my 2 big things.
The best way to learn something in this field is just watch the greats.
Yep. Steal from them all.
Yeah,
the
I
time.
just don't have a damn orchestra to take from, so.
Well, I'm not talking about score, but for like sound design.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and that's another reason why I've been trying to keep up on watching more and more movies, just to, get the feel of it, see what do they do. And, yeah, I mean...
Folks, it is really a trial by fire, man.
It's this is why I don't really talk about my position that much, because I don't know how to. It's one of those, I could just do it. I'm not a teacher. I can't teach you how to do something. I could just do it. You know, it's really that simple. You show me a visual effects problem, I'll be like, I don't know how to fucking explain it. You just put me at the computer and I'll figure it out for you. That's generally how I've gotten by in this industry. How would you solve this problem? I don't know. Give me a computer and I'll figure it out.
You know what? And sometimes it really is that simple. Chris Walken had a great quote about about acting. He said, it's like building a house. Like, just go build the fucking house. Like, you'll figure it out.
You know, another example, like people, hey, what button was it? How do you use your shield or do a super dodge roll? I don't fucking know. You give me the controller, I'll be able to tell you instantly. It's instinct. I don't know it based off telling you. I have to do it. That's just how I do things.
Yeah. The one thing too I wanted to talk about is that what is your expertise though? When it comes to editing. I know
when it comes to post-production, visual effects is my absolute masterpiece. Like, I know more about visual effects than I do editing, sound design, all that.
Explain a little bit what visual effects actually is and what that entails.
Well, for me, it's the digital side of visual effects. So, compositing things onto live footage. So if you want to make lightning happen, but you couldn't figure out a way to, get it done on set, you give it to me. I'll add some lightning to your fingers and shock the shit out of somebody for you. If you're, I don't know, you want a flaming skull that's on fire and you want me to replace it with your head, I can do that. To a degree, if you set up properly, that is. Or do you want to replace your skin with a glowing blue aura of electricity? I can do that. I've done it before and I'll do it again. That whole Sin City effect where all the color is removed except for one. I've learned how to do that. That's a fun effect. I can do that. I can do a whole bunch of cool effects. I just, need to have a reason to do them.
I've got a question for you. Okay, so we've been working together for about a year now.
Yeah.
There was that one shoot that actually took place in this apartment, and we had to create a makeshift green screen out of some green fabric. It was wrinkled because I didn't have time to wash it and iron it. And it was actually 2 strips, so we actually had to tape them together. So there's this line, this seam in the middle of it. With the way that I lit it and everything, it was a very easy key. I think you told me it was the easiest key you'd ever done.
All I had to do was just key out the grain and everything was done for me. There was no grain. There was no extra, artifacting. It was all just gone. So, never in my life have I had that.
I guess before. I have a 2-part question here. So obviously a lot of what makes your job easier is if like somebody like me does their job right on set.
Honestly,
so I guess what are some visual effects experiences you've had where you've had to do an effect but like the footage wasn't up to par? Like what's something that you had to basically fix somebody's, like with us, we don't fix it in post, we finish it in post. Like, we discuss beforehand what's going to be on set and what's actually going to be done in post. It's not fixing it if you know you're going to be doing it from the start. It's like, what are some times where you've actually had to fix it in post, and why, and was it challenging, why and why not?
So
by the way, folks, we have a quote in a saying that floats around our production is the only person that can actually say we'll fix it in post is Zack. He's the only one that's allowed to say it because he actually does in fact fix things in post. Don't say we'll fix it in post on our set without getting a dirty look from Zack
or me.
Well, yeah, I mean, but usually
you'll get a dirty look from Brandon. You'll get a stab in the throat from me.
If we have to fix it in post, that means I didn't do something right.
This is true. This is very, very true. So that being said, with both of those comments, go ahead, man.
So one of the things off the top of my head, somebody shot this stuffed animal on a green screen. They wanted to key it. They wanted to put it on a footage. One problem was they didn't have a plate. Okay. One thing you always want to do, you always want to have your plate prepared. That's one of the first things you should do before you actually, shoot, on your green screen, so you can get lighting adjusted and everything like that.
And the plate is the background.
Yeah, sorry, the plate is the background.
You want to know what your plate's going to be beforehand, because then you can have your DP of the day have the lighting match as well.
Exactly. So another problem was the quality of this footage was bad.
Define bad.
So It was very artifacty, very pixelated. You
So
know,
very compressed.
yeah, you could still tell what the image was and everything, but when it came to keying out that stuffed animal, it was a goddamn nightmare. I had to do more masking than anything, and even then, it still looked fuzzy on the edges, and there was little to nothing I can do about it.
Most likely 8-bit color footage, probably.
Yeah, it also didn't help that the damn thing was blue shot on a green background.
Ooh.
Yeah. Another thing you should always take into consideration, if you're shooting on a green screen, blue and green are a big fat no.
How do you think they felt on the set for the first Spider-Man movie? You had Spider-Man's costume, which has a lot of blue on it, and then you got the Green Goblin's costume, which is nothing but green.
Look, Sam Raimi knows what he's doing, all right?
Or at least really good at pretending
Also,
he does.
he had a budget. These people did not. One of the funniest things I've ever seen. So, a friend of mine at school, he went to go shoot in the green room, and he had a green shirt on. You can already see where the problem is. Came to me for help. There's nothing I can do. Somebody I know, I don't know how they fucked this up so badly. They went to the green room, turned off all the lights so it looked completely dark around the actress. Still got green spill on the girl. And wanted me to key out the black background.
Good luck.
So what's
Pretty much
for people that don't know what's green spill?
Oh, so green spill is when you're shooting on green screen and the light pretty much bounces the green screen and makes your subject look green. And when you key out the green, it's also going to key out that part, and it's going to make your subject...
Mostly on the edges of your
It's always on the edges. Hell, it could sometimes even be on the face, cheeks, very reflective parts of your body. Mm-hmm. So, especially if you got somebody who's bald, their scalp is going to be a fucking green glow zone. So,
yeah. And that's why you want to put as much distance between the green screen and your subject as possible.
Yeah. It's a pain in the ass, but you got to do what you got to do. That's why you try, if you can avoid full body shots, do that.
Yeah. That's actually why for Avatar, because, you know, that movie is basically nothing but green screen.
It was a green screen.
So for areas where like a prop or something was going to be too close, they actually used retroreflective material to counteract the green spill.
Yeah, if you can afford that, then that's absolutely a way to go.
Yeah, so basically, the rule of thumb that I've picked up on, like I really haven't done that many green screen shoots, but I'm constantly researching because I know that I'm going to hit a time where I'm going to be doing them.
Especially if you're working with me, I'm going to require it at some point. Like I did a lot of them in school to try to get as much experience with it as possible.
Yeah.
But one of the biggest problems with the green screen at school is nobody maintained that thing.
No, nobody
it was filthy.
But
no matter how well you shot that, you'd always have a problem just because there's a slight brown spot in the background. You'd always have to mask that out in particular. And it's a goddamn nightmare.
But yeah, the rule of thumb that I've kind of picked up on is if you're able to put distance between your subject and the green screen, use an actual green screen. Whereas if you're not going to have that much space, use retroreflective material.
If you can afford it. It will save you a lot of time in post. And your post guy will love you.
Yeah.
It's literally the difference between your post guy going, oh, okay, this is nice and easy, or your post guy going, these motherfuckers!
Which I've heard come from his room. So I do have a question as well for some of the younger filmmakers out there, or the people who are just starting up. What are some editing softwares that are decently cheap that if they want to start learning this process, or if they've already filmed content and they have nobody else they can lean on to be an editor, and they have to figure out how to do this themselves?
The best tool out there, in my opinion, at least for visual effects people, is the Adobe Creative Cloud. And there goes a cat. You know, you get Premiere and After Effects, Photoshop and Illustrator, which are some of your key ingredients. The main one you need is After Effects, because that's where all the magic happens. And I mean, that one's just the most affordable, because with After Effects, the base package, you get what the hell is it called? Mocha, which is a great motion tracking software. It isn't the full thing, but it's enough to get you going. Cinema 4D Lite, I think they're on R19 or 20 right now, I can't remember. and that's a 3D software, so you can learn basic 3D modeling and 3D environments. It's a lot of hard work, but it's still something. And then Illustrator, so you can make vectors, start making graphics and stuff like that. Pretty much, if you just want to get a good start, Adobe Creative Cloud is your best bet. Anything else, you're going to be paying a pretty penny for a lot of those other softwares.
There is a free version of DaVinci Resolve, and that's an editing software.
It's an editing software, sure, but that's mainly for color grading. That's not really for visual effects.
Yeah, and I do believe they did create like an After Effects equivalent. And I'm not a post guy, so I don't really know that much about it.
Yeah, and I don't do much color. I do very basic color. So,
but I do know that if money's an issue with you, you can get Resolve for free for editing and color grading.
Yeah, Resolve is free. I think there's a version of Sony Vegas that's free now. I'm not 100% sure. You can always get started where I got started, Windows Movie Maker, if anybody remembers that tool.
I do.
Yeah, that brings me back.
That in iMovie.
Yeah, I mean, if you're just doing editing, there's free software out there. Is it great? God, no. But it's still something to get you editing and, just starting off. I mean, we all got to start somewhere. But, if you have a little bit of money you can spare every month, especially if you're a student, the Creative Cloud is absolutely your best bet. You get a plethora of tools that are very valuable. So the main two are going to be Premiere and After Effects.
Nice. And then, what's one or two pieces of advice that you give to beginner filmmakers, that are not on the post side, but they're actually on the production side, the DPs, the directors, and everything else? You being the post guy, what's one thing, or two things you can say?
I actually have one piece of advice, and this goes back to green screen, shooting green screen. Make sure you light the green screen evenly. Use your waveform monitor, and you want your green screen to be around 45 IRE on the waveform monitor. For those of you that don't know, the waveform monitor is like a graph that you bring up on your monitor, and it shows you the exposure from 0 to 100% where everything is in your frame. So you'll be able to see like what's been clipped, what's been crushed. Basically, you see the percentage of brightness that your image is at, essentially. So yeah, and 0% is black, 100% is white, and so you want your green screen around 45. Which, if you ever look at like the SMPTE color bars, which are those color bars that we use for calibrating, they're the color bars, what they are. If you look at the green for that, that's somewhere between 45 and 50 IRE, and so yeah, that's just a good shade of green to use. So yeah, light your green screen for 45 IRE. Put as much distance between your subject and your green screen as possible to avoid green spill. And if you're like me and you don't have that many lights on you, like for me, I just have a couple of lights. So what I do is, and I've really only shot green screen for insert shots, so 2 lights with a green screen has been enough for me. Have those lights behind your subject as well, and that way you have space to actually light your subject separately from the green screen. Don't try to light your green screen and your subject with the same lights.
All right, very, very cool. The Zack, any advice or any notes that you want to give to any beginning filmmakers? Somebody that may not is just starting out and are kind of experimenting with things. Any advice you would give being a post person?
Yeah, take production seriously. If you can avoid fixing it in post, do that, because one, it's going to look a lot better, and two, there are some things you may think can be fixed in post, like removing a Jeep from behind a window during a piece that is supposed to take place during the 1950s.
I would like to hear that story.
I'm not going to talk about that. Or removing a lav mic because your camera operator refused to say anything for some bloody reason. I'll never understand why, but yeah, that poor guy. Anyways,
so the biggest advice,
just take production seriously, because all that's going to do is cost you time and money, mainly money, because these people aren't going to do this for free. That's for damn sure.
Post is meant to enhance your work and not fix your work.
Yeah, there's a reason I called my production "Fix Your Fuck Up Productions."
Really?
That's all the work I was getting for the longest time. It was super annoying.
There's nothing artistic. It
Just like, I can make a fucking flaming skull, and you're having me
Zach's very upset about this. Zach wants to be creative, but Zach also doesn't, gets jobs where people, fix my mistake.
You want me to put that screen on your phone? Sure. Okay. Why couldn't you do that practically? Oh, we didn't think about it at the time. Oh, really?
Isn't that something? Isn't that special? So Zach, any other final notes on the wonderful world of Post?
Not that I can think of.
All right, Brandon.
It's plan ahead.
Yeah.
Like,
the more you
if you're able to incorporate your post-production team into your pre-production,
hell yeah.
So that way you know what should be saved for post-production, what shouldn't be. Like, really figure, like, pretty much if you can do it practically, do it practically.
Because it's all 9 times out of 10, it's going to look a lot better.
Yeah. Don't be one of those directors who basically wants their post-production people to fix their vision for them.
Yeah, trust me, for the longest time, I wanted to do everything CGI, because it's just like, oh, I could do everything myself. CGI is awesome. I don't need other people for that. Yeah, and it's going to look like shit. CGI is good, but the amount of work you need to make it look photorealistic, nobody on our level is going to be able to do that. Hell, Terminator, Godzilla, Pacific Rim, those had billion-dollar budgets.
They weren't billion dollars.
Well, either way. They had a lot of money and a lot of people working on them.
Yeah.
And time.
But here's the thing to consider. But here's the thing to remember too. Even those big budget movies, they still have a cap on their budget. Microphone down.
Yep.
Sorry.
But here's the thing. They also know what they're going to put. Like, Pacific Rim got the first Pacific Rim, and Godzilla, Kong, and...
But no, that also goes back to planning it.
Exactly.
Like, everything was planned.
Or even Terminator Genesis, that Arnold Schwarzenegger copy, it's one of the most photorealistic humans there is on screen. Like, damn near pinpoint accurate. Also, Tarkin was awesome.
Sure.
Moving on. The one thing
Mark, do you have anything for post-production?
I was. Especially if you're doing, if you're starting to do post yourself and you're starting to experiment with other things and you have a piece of work that you're working on and everything else, have more people watch it. Get a group of people that you trust and everything else. Have, going back to the conversation that we had when Jeff was on about having producers on your sets and everything else. It's important to have other voices there because you're going to be watching the same fucking thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over again.
There's that, and you're also going to see all the mistakes. They may not.
Correct. And that's also vice versa too. What I was going to say is when you're watching things over and over, there may be things that you're going to miss that other people will catch.
Thank you, Wes.
Thank you, Wes.
I was going to say, though, one problem I've run in more often than not is it's like you fixed a problem. You can see it. You know where that patch is. You know where that smudge is. You know where that bolt is. Whatever.
Yes, your eye is gonna go.
It's like you always know what's there. So you have to have somebody watch it 100 times before. A few people watch it 100 times before you're just like, no, we can't see it. Like there's a fix I did at the throughout the first edit of Snapchat Nightmare. I fixed 2 or 3 things. Nobody ever noticed or questioned it throughout the entire viewing, and I still refuse to tell anybody what those fixes were.
Is that including us?
Yeah.
So there are things that you fix that even Mark and I don't know.
Nope. Yeah.
Well.
Okay.
All right.
Minor details that everybody thought was just part of the shoot day. Things just happened naturally. That's when you know you did your job well. when you fix something or added something and nobody can tell you fixed or added it. That's how you know you did your job well.
When we finish this recording, I would like to know what those like. Are they anything
So would
that
I.
was it anything on my side? Or?
Nope.
Okay.
I mean, these were just things that no matter, I knew I was going to have to fix later, so I'm just like, all right.
I really have to know what these are now. So we'll talk offline, but I'm very curious.
I may or may not tell them. I still haven't decided yet.
Your reality is always going to be kind of augmented. That you can look at something 1,000 times and think it's fixed.
Yeah.
Until somebody says no, we don't see it, or vice versa. You'll look at something 1,000 times and you'll never notice something, and then it takes one person to go, "Hey, that's not right."
Yeah.
There's a boom mic in the background. And then you go, son of a bitch, I can't believe I didn't catch. But when you're watching something over and over and over again, especially when all three of us sat, in Zack's room and watched this short over and over and over again, we were very nervous. We wanted our first episode to be right. I think we're a little bit more sensible this time around.
We're way more sensible this time around. We're releasing it in like 2 or 3 weeks, give or take.
Well, we watched it. And also, too, Zach, there's a lot of visual effects in this first episode. A lot.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff to watch.
Do we have any visual effects going into the second episode?
So far, no.
Okay.
There
Yeah,
might
I
be
think
a
so.
few. I might remove a few things, but it's
But
to be
overall,
decided.
once we hit picture lock, it's just sound and color, and we're done.
Yeah, pretty much.
I figured as much. I didn't think there was going to be a lot of post visual effects. In this
No,
one.
if anything, it's just going to be, all right, I really like this take. Let me remove that from the image so it works.
Yeah, but yeah, that would be my big thing is that don't have other people involved to observe things that you may have missed, but also have other people there so you don't become obsessed.
Yeah.
And you don't fixate on certain things and go, well, it has to be perfect and do it 1,000 times. Eventually, you have to release your work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
That's really the hardest part, especially if you've directed, written, and all that. Like, you're paranoid about releasing it because you see where all the mistakes are, you see where all the mess ups are, you see where it's like, nope, this is bad, nope, this is bad, can't do this, nope, have to go back and fix
And you
this,
wanna know something?
and it's an endless loop.
And I think the three of us were particularly nervous about Snapchat Nightmare because that was actually our first narrative piece in years.
2016 was the last time the three of
Yeah.
us did a narrative together, and that was my
That was
finale.
my last narrative in general.
yeah.
I mean, I had acted in other things, but not.
I had worked on a few things, but nothing really,
And that was actually my first narrative as officially a DP. Like, I had DP narratives before, but that was back in my day where it's like, I'm not a DP, I'm just doing this because nobody else will. But yeah, that was actually since calling myself a DP, that was my first narrative piece. So even I was nervous about that. So yeah, we had a lot to prove to ourselves on that one, I think.
Getting back in the director's chair,
But
editing visual effect, and doing some heavy visual effects like I haven't done in a while.
And then here's the bad news too I have for the two of you. And I asked one of my instructors at the ASC Masterclass, because obviously they're ASC members. This is what they do. Even today, they've shot car commercials. They've shot TV series that have won awards, movies.
It'll get any
big
easier.
effects movies too, and all there's even we still see the mistakes that we could have done better. And I'm just like, oh damn! If even you won't get over your mistakes, and you're teaching masterclass, what chance do I have?
You are your harshest critic.
You guys could have lied to me. You guys could have lied. That would have been great. You didn't have to tell me the truth. You could have just lied.
No, that's how you know that's how you know they're good teachers.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
So if they're bullshitting you, then it's like, well, you just wasted $3,000.
There was a lot of firsts on that set, and there was a lot of things that could have gone wrong, and we were all very concerned about it. Yes, there's a lot of things that we were all very, very nervous about, but I think we discovered that some of that stuff, was inconsequential. I
But we did eventually release it.
We did.
Yeah.
We did.
And
people seem to enjoy it.
I'm glad that we would rather fix something and make sure it's done right than just be lazy about it.
Correct. I don't think any one of us would be lazy. And you know what? And back to talking about like obsessing over one thing and everything else. I remember when I was in theater when I was like 13 or 14, and we were in rehearsal and everything else, and there was a couple lines that I wasn't getting 110%. Couple like I would flip flop a word or whatever, but the sentiment of everything that I was saying was perfect. But I was getting pissed off at myself because I couldn't quite get the word right. And I remember the one director, not like the main director, like the assistant director, said, "I've been doing theater for 25 years. I have never seen a audience member come in with a script and follow a fucking actor through that." He didn't say fucking because it's a Christian youth theater, but I'm saying it for emphasis. I've never seen an audience member. I've seen a director do that because that's what directors do, but I've never seen an audience member come in with a script and follow an actor and then shout from the back of the audience, "Hey, you didn't get that right, that line right here, you didn't get it right. It wasn't right." Never happens. Never happened. It took a tremendous amount of pressure off of me. And I think it took me that first episode, to relearn that lesson. Is that, the audience is only going to know a tenth of what actually goes on. A tenth. Like, it's only what you show them. Even that doesn't always sneak in 110%.
Yeah.
So, one of the big things I can say is, put in, all the work you possibly can, give 110%, but also cut yourself some slack. You're gonna learn, you're gonna make mistakes. There's gonna be times when mistakes just cannot be avoided, and that's just part of the process. It's part of learning. It's part of learning this crazy game that we're all in together, and something you have to go through. You have to work through those issues and work through those problems. Anthony Hopkins said, you're gonna do 10 things. But you'll do 10 things in your career. One will be awesome. So just do everything. The more chances you have, the better off you'll be.
Yeah.
So that's my piece on that. The Zacchamus, anything more on Dear Old Post?
Squirrels.
I figured. The B-Man.
Yeah, and it's just prep.
God, I'm gonna.
The more prep you do, the better off you're gonna be, both in production and post production.
I really don't think Brandon's ready for Mark the director, because I'm gonna drive you insane. I want to talk to you all the time. Brandon, what do you think about that? Brandon, what do you think about that?
Brandon's home alone all day.
Brandon, what do you think about that?
Brandon's in the shower. What the hell?
What do you think? Like the scene from Psych.
What do you think about that?
It's like shower curtain open. What do you think about this? What do you think about this?
I just want to point out we have a live audience for once.
Oh yeah, the cat's staring right at
kitty.
me.
kitty. The
He's like, "What the fuck are you guys doing out here?"
Because they're talking to no one. It's crazy humans.
Here, I'm getting you a photo for the podcast posting or whatever.
Actually, we may just do that as the title of the podcast. The kitty. No, mini-me. We don't eat our kitties.
I was actually watching that today.
We pet them. I love it. The voice is based off of Lauren Michaels.
Yeah. Okay, so we're way too easily distracted by the cat.
He's adorable.
He is, in fact, adorable. He is, yes.
All right, let's wrap this up.
Yeah.
All right, so that is this week's Nightmares podcast. Thank you for listening. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, like our podcast, like our videos. Check out our first episode. It's on the YouTube channel. Like us on Facebook at Living Nightmares Official,